The hip-hop world thrives on drama. But nobody expected this two powerful women colliding in a storm of rage, loyalty, and betrayal. Remy Ma, the Bronx queen who's built her empire on strength and survival. Claressa Shields, the undefeated boxing champion who carries the weight of two worlds, the ring and her voice. At the center, one-man Papoose. Cameras rolled as tempers exploded, fists flew, and history was made in the most shocking way possible. This wasn't a staged stunt or tabloid rumor. This was raw, unfiltered chaos that blurred the lines between hip-hop and combat sports. Fans stood frozen, social media erupted, and questions spread like wildfire. What drove Remy and Claressa to this breaking point? And how deep does Papoose's role in this violent storm really go? Tonight, we break it all down, every detail, every consequence, every unspoken truth behind the fight caught on camera. The night was supposed to be routine, another crowded hip-hop industry mixer. Cameras flashing, artists networking, and fans waiting outside for autographs. But nobody realized they were walking straight into the most explosive chapter of 2025's hip-hop drama. Remy Ma entered the room with the presence only she could command, draped in designer but carrying the edge of a woman who's survived prison, battles, and betrayal. She wasn't there for attention. She was there for business. Her husband, Papoose, was the anchor of her world, her partner in both love and music. But lately, whispers had been circulating, whispers linking Papoose's name to conversations and connections that didn't sit right with Remy. And in hip-hop, whispers don't stay whispers for long. Claressa Shields arrived later, dressed with the same confidence she carries into every boxing match. She's the self-proclaimed GWOAT, the greatest woman of all time in boxing. But she's also no stranger to hip-hop circles. Known for her outspoken personality and ties to several artists, she has often defended her place in spaces where athletes and musicians overlap. Tonight though, her energy wasn't just about networking. She had word-sharp words that were waiting for the right moment. The tension began quietly. A few exchanged glances. A few words whispered in low tones. But then, according to witnesses, Claressa made a comment that cut deep, directed at Remy. Something about loyalty. Something about trust. Something about Papoose. That was all it took. Remy Ma isn't the type to let disrespect slide. She's lived her life proving she's tougher than the streets, tougher than the industry, and tougher than anyone who doubted her. So when Claressa's words hit her, she didn't back down, she stepped up. Cameras caught the moment. Remy leaned in, voice sharp, finger pointed. Claressa didn't flinch. She raised her chin, eyes locked, as if she were standing in the ring, waiting for a bell. The room grew heavy. Conversations stopped. Drinks went untouched. Everyone knew something was about to happen. And then it did. Remy lunged forward first, shoving Claressa back. The boxer, quick on reflex, didn't stumble. She countered with a push of her own. Suddenly, two worlds collided. The raw, street-born aggression of a hip-hop legend and the trained precision of an undefeated champion fighter. Witnesses say the noise was deafening. Chairs scraped, glasses shattered, people screamed. Papoose himself rushed forward, caught between the two women who both carried his name on their tongues. He tried to separate them, shouting for calm, but the fire was already raging. Remy swung, a wide slap aimed directly at Claressa. Claressa dodged, fists clenched, her body shifting instinctively into boxing stance. The cameras caught every second, the shove, the swing, the chaos. Clips spread like wildfire across social media within minutes. Twitter timelines were filled with disbelief. Instagram reels replayed the fight on loop. TikTok edits set it to dramatic soundtracks. Fans picking sides with hashtags like #Team Remy and #Team Claressa. But the fight wasn't just about the moment. It was about what it represented. For Remy, this was personal. Her name, her marriage, her reputation, all of it had been challenged. For Claressa, it was about respect. She wasn't going to be disrespected in any space, especially not in front of cameras, in front of peers, and in front of millions watching online. By the time security stormed in, pulling the two apart, the damage was already done. Not physical damage, though there were scratches, pulled hair, torn clothing, but cultural damage. Hip-hop had just witnessed something raw, something ugly, something unforgettable. Papoose stood frozen, caught in the middle of the storm. His face said it all. Shame, shock, and disbelief. He never wanted this. But somehow, his name was now the epicenter of the most viral moment of the year. And here's the twist, those cameras. They didn't just catch the fight. they caught his reaction. And the internet doesn't miss a thing. Memes started circulating within hours. Screenshots of Papoose's face, mid-chaos became instant reactions across social platforms. Fans began speculating. Was he guilty? Was there truth to the whispers? Did Claressa know something the world didn't? Or was this just another case of rumors spiraling out of control? Hip-hop isn't just music, it's culture, it's image, it's reputation. And in this culture, perception can make or break you. For Remy, the fight became proof that she will defend her name and her man, at any cost. For Claressa, it was proof that she won't be bullied, no matter the stage or the opponent. By sunrise, every blog, every YouTube channel, every podcast was buzzing. Some called it embarrassing. Others called it legendary. And some wondered, did we just watch the beginning of a bigger war? By morning, the fight wasn't just a scandal, it was a cultural earthquake. What happened between Remy Ma and Claressa Shields wasn't just about two women trading blows. It was about loyalty, betrayal, image, and the unforgiving spotlight of hip-hop culture colliding with the world of professional sports. The blogs were relentless. Headlines screamed across the internet, Remy Ma swings on Claressa Shields over Papoose allegations, boxing champion versus rap legend who won the brawl. Caught on camera, the fight that shook hip-hop. Clips of the altercation looped non-stop on Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. Fans analyzed every frame, slowing down footage to break down who swung first, who connected, who stumbled. Some swore they saw Claressa grin in the middle of it all, as if the boxer was ready for a fight in any arena, not just the ring. Others insisted Remy's raw power, even without professional training, was enough to intimidate anyone who crossed her. But beyond the play-by-play breakdown, the real conversation was deeper. This wasn't just a celebrity spat, it was Remy Ma, one of hip-hop's most respected female rappers, whose career has been defined by survival, strength, and loyalty, facing off against Claressa Shields, the undefeated world champion boxer who built her entire legacy on proving doubters wrong. And in the middle of it, all Papoose. For years, Papoose has been more than just Remy's husband. He's been the poster child for loyalty. When Remy was incarcerated, he stood by her side, holding down the household, raising their family, and waiting patiently for her release. In hip-hop culture, where loyalty is rare, Papoose became a symbol of what it means to be solid. So why was his name suddenly tied to whispers that sparked this fight? Some blogs speculated Claressa had inside information, that she knew something about Papoose that the world didn't. Others claimed she was simply stirring the pot, knowing that one comment could ignite Remy's legendary temper. And then there were those who believed it was all a misunderstanding, a heat-of-the-moment clash blown out of proportion. But in hip-hop, perception often matters more than truth. Fans began taking sides. Hashtag Team Remy trended, with supporters praising her for standing up and refusing to let anyone drag her husband's name through the mud. That's real love, one fan tweeted. Remy gon' fight for hers every time. Meanwhile, hashtag Team Claressa rose just as strong, with boxing fans rallying behind their champion. She's undefeated for a reason. One comment read, "Even in hip-hop, you don't want smoke with the guate." What made the fight even more explosive was the history both women carried. Remy Ma's name is etched in hip-hop history not just for her hits, but for her resilience. She came up under Big Pun, battled through the ruthless streets of the Bronx, and carved out her place in a male-dominated industry. Her time behind bars nearly ended her career, but instead, it became part of her legend. Remy wasn't just another rapper, she was proof that survival itself could be turned into a crown. Claressa, on the other hand, has been fighting all her life. Coming from Flint, Michigan, she battled poverty, doubt, and countless critics, who said women's boxing would never reach the heights of men's. She silenced every one of them by becoming a two-time Olympic gold medalist and a multi-division world champion. Her fists are weapons, her confidence unshakable, and her pride unbreakable. So when these two collided, it wasn't just a scuffle. It was the Bronx versus Flint, hip-hop versus boxing, survivor versus champion. Papoose, meanwhile, became the unwilling centerpiece of the storm. His reputation for loyalty, once his greatest strength, was now a double-edged sword. Social media dissected every old interview, every lyric, every public appearance, searching for cracks in his armor. Memes mocked him, painting him as helpless, caught between two powerful women fighting over his name. But others felt sympathy. Imagine holding your wife down for years, only to have your loyalty questioned in public. One tweet said, "Papoose doesn't deserve this." What made matters worse was the footage of his reaction. As security dragged Remy and Claressa apart, Papoose's expression was frozen, a mix of frustration, hurt, and exhaustion. The internet turned it into 1,000 memes. But behind the jokes was a serious question. What was going through his mind? Did he feel guilty? Did he feel betrayed? Or was he simply watching his carefully built reputation crumble in real time? Hip-hop media outlets had a field day. Podcasts debated the incident like it was a heavyweight title match. YouTubers analyzed the psychology of the fight. Some insisted Remy's actions were about love. Others claimed they were about insecurity. Some painted Claressa as a villain. Others saw her as a woman standing her ground. But one thing was undeniable. Footage was everywhere, and there was no erasing it. And then came the fallout. The venue, where the fight happened, issued a statement condemning the violence and hinting at potential legal action. Event organizers claimed both women disrespected the space and endangered others. Claressa's boxing sponsors reportedly reached out for clarification, worried about her image. Meanwhile, Remy's publicist worked overtime, spinning the story as one of a wife fiercely defending her marriage. Through it all, one voice remained silent: Papoose's. Fans waited for him to address it. They checked his Instagram, his Twitter, his interviews. But he said nothing. No defense, no denial, no explanation. And in a culture that feeds on narrative, his silence spoke louder than words. That silence raised questions. If Papoose had nothing to hide, why wasn't he speaking? Was he protecting Remy? Was he protecting Claressa? Or was he protecting himself? The longer he stayed quiet, the louder the speculation grew. For hip-hop, this wasn't just gossip. This was history unfolding. A rapper and a boxer, two queens of their respective arenas, throwing down over a man whose loyalty had once been considered bulletproof. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Papoose had built his entire brand on being the model husband. Now, that very brand was being tested in front of millions, and just like that, the fight was no longer about a shove, a swing, or a brawl. It was about truth. It was about loyalty. It was about who Papoose really was and whether the image the world had believed for years could survive this moment. The silence from Papoose stretched into days, then weeks. In hip-hop culture, that's an eternity. Every hour that passed without a statement was fuel for speculation. And by now, the fight had become more than a trending topic, it was a full saga. Clips of the altercation had been remixed into music videos, TikTok challenges, and even parody skits on late-night shows. But beneath the humor, there was a tension no one could ignore. Because this wasn't just about two women throwing hands. This was about image, legacy, and the thin line between love and chaos. Remy Ma eventually broke her silence with an Instagram live. She sat in front of the camera. No makeup, hoodie on, eyes sharp. Her voice was calm, but firm. "I don't care what y'all say. I don't care what the blogs post. Ain't nobody gonna disrespect my marriage. Ain't nobody gonna play with my family. I've been through too much to let anybody, boxer or rapper, talk reckless about my husband." The live racked up hundreds of thousands of viewers. Comments flooded in, some praising her for standing her ground, others questioning why she was fighting battles in public when the truth, whatever it was, could be proven privately. But Remy didn't stop there. She doubled down, posting pictures of her and Papoose together, smiling, holding hands, attending events. To her fans, it was proof that their bond was unshakable. To her critics, it was overcompensation, a desperate attempt to cover up cracks in the foundation. Claressa, meanwhile, didn't stay quiet. The champ took to Twitter, her words sharp and unapologetic. Respect to Remy, but she swung first. "I don't back down from nobody. Y'all know my record, y'all know who I am. If you don't want problems, don't start them." Screenshots of her tweet went viral instantly. Supporters hailed her bravery, arguing that she was only defending herself. Detractors accused her of clout chasing, using Remy's name to elevate her own profile outside the boxing ring. And then came the interviews. Claressa appeared on sports podcasts, hinting that the situation wasn't just about words, it was about truth. She claimed she knew things about Papoose that the public wasn't ready to hear. That statement lit the internet on fire. What did she mean? Was there really a secret? Or was it all smoke and mirrors? For Papoose, the pressure became unbearable. His name, once synonymous with loyalty, had turned into a question mark. Every meme, every post, every headline was dragging him deeper into a storm he never asked for. Yet still, he stayed silent. Hip-hop Twitter dissected the psychology of his silence. Some argued it was strength, that real men don't entertain gossip. Others saw it as weakness, claiming silence only made him look guilty. Meanwhile, industry insiders started whispering that the fight could derail more than just reputations. Remy had business deals on the table, endorsements, appearances, and even rumored music projects. Claressa had fights lined up, sponsors counting on her image as a champion who represented discipline and control. Every replay of that video threatened both their futures, but perhaps the most shocking twist came when an unverified source leaked alleged text messages, screenshots, supposedly between Papoose and another woman, spread across social media like wildfire. The messages hinted at late-night meets, promises of secrecy, and just enough detail to spark chaos. No one could confirm if the texts were real, but in the court of public opinion, perception mattered more than proof. For Remy's critics, it was the smoking gun. For her supporters, it was another smear campaign designed to break a strong woman. And where was Papoose? Still silent. The silence began to fracture the culture itself. Some fans begged for unity, pointing out how hip-hop already suffered from too much division. Others reveled in the spectacle, treating it like a real-life soap opera unfolding before their eyes. Podcasts, morning radio shows, even mainstream news outlets picked it up. Everyone had an opinion. Everyone had a side. And through it all, one thing became clear. This wasn't just about a fight anymore. This was about trust. About whether the image of a perfect marriage could survive under the harshest spotlight imaginable. For Remy Ma, the fight became a test of her loyalty. For Claressa Shields, it became a test of her integrity. And for Papoose, it became a test of his entire identity. Because if the rumors were true, if even a fraction of those leaked messages had any weight, then everything he built, every bar about loyalty, every image of him as the devoted husband, would come crashing down. And if they weren't true, then his silence would be remembered as one of the most mysterious choices in hip-hop history. As the world waited for the next move, one question loomed over everything. Would Papoose finally break his silence? Or would he let two powerful women, and an entire culture, keep fighting over a truth only he knew? This entire saga proves one thing: hip-hop isn't just music, it's life, it's culture, it's raw emotion. What started as a violent clash between Remy Ma and Claressa Shields has now exploded into something bigger: loyalty, truth, and the reputation of one of rap's most unshakable figures, Papoose. And yet, after all the noise, the debates, the leaked screenshots, and the interviews, the silence from Pap still echoes the loudest. But what happens next? Will he finally speak and end the rumors once and for all? Or will his silence continue to fuel the fire, rewriting how the world views him forever? One thing is for sure, this story isn't finished, so I need to hear from you. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Whose side are you on? Remy, Claressa, or do you think Papoose is hiding something? Hit that like button, subscribe, and stay tuned, because this is only the beginning.